I'm Non-Zero Sum James, your companion on this exploration of win-win games. Conway's game. Complexity emerges from simplicity. A non-zero sum universe. A non-zero sum game is one where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And so, a prerequisite for non-zero sum games is that we live in a universe where the whole can be greater than the sum of its parts, or more accurately speaking, can be more complex than its parts. It's not a given that this should be the case. Nothing could continue to be nothing. Something could continue to be that same thing. Replication could lead to homogeneity. All these universes are fathomable, and yet we live in one where the seemingly impossible is apparently possible. We live in a non-zero sum universe, where complexity emerges. Emergence. This series is going to explore the fundamental non-zero sum nature of the universe in which we find ourselves, namely the principle of emergence. Through a series of simulations and speculations, we'll look at the counterintuitive nature of emergence in a universe governed by entropy. How layers of replication give quantity a quality all of its own, and how successive phenomena essentially consume their precursors' waste, and how we are already complicit in the destruction of this universe. But that's okay. A simple example of complexity. Conway's game of life is a type of cellular automata devised by the British mathematician John Horton Conway in 1970. It is a zero-player game in that its evolution is determined by its initial state. I've implemented a couple of versions of Conway's game of life in the post itself, so if you really want to get to know it, visit the post and have a play. If you're on a computer, draw some initial cells and run the simulation. If you're using a touch device, you can seed it randomly. Conway's game of life is one of the simplest embodiments of emergence, creating seemingly organic behaviors, moving, consuming, spinning, dying, blooming, all from extremely simple rules. 1. Birth. A dead cell with exactly 3 live neighbours becomes a live cell, as if by reproduction. 2. Survival. A live cell with 2 or 3 live neighbours stays alive for the next generation. 3. Death. Overpopulation. A live cell with more than 3 live neighbours dies in the next generation. Underpopulation. A live cell with fewer than 2 live neighbours also dies. We in part have our innate tendency to anthropomorphize to thank for interpreting these behaviours as life. But it is not just a perceived complexity we are witnessing. Bear in mind that Conway developed this game before he had access to a computer to run it on, so try and imagine Conway analysing his results manually. This might give you an appreciation for the very real complexity that emerged from this simple formula. Now, with computers we can simulate the results to a fine degree. If you go to the site, you'll be able to see that the next simulation tends towards stasis, but it does so unpredictably, with small events triggering wild cascades into new activity. If you click around in the simulation to add a square here or there, you can actually set about one of these cascades of activity just from one click. But this is all well and good on a computer designed by humans, with a very specific program created by a human mind and set in motion by yet another human being. One could claim that there's a whole lot of complexity, order, and even design there to begin with. Whereas the universe is a whole different situation. How can complexity arise from a universe where the second law of thermodynamics states that entropy, disorder, and simplicity always increases? In the next part, we will see how this seeming contradiction turns out to be false, and that the principle at work in Conway's game of life is at work in life itself.